Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is definitely making the list for worst releases of 2024 and most likely will take the trophy. But while Sweet Baby and games are being boycotted and Rocksteady has proven that they don't actually care about what us gamers have to say, they are really trying to hype up the next episode of Kill the Justice League, and they are getting absolutely annihilated over it. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, Suicide Squad KTJL has faced massive backlash even since before they launched the game, even though they said that they had so many big plans for it once we heard it was a financial failure and it lost Warner Brothers $200 million. We all expected them to very quickly wind down the game and no longer really put a lot of effort into it. And while they're trying to hype up episode 2, it's not going well for them. It says, although 2024 has largely been a great year for gaming so far, thanks to the likes of Infinite Wealth, Tekken, Animal Well, Prince of Persia, just to name a few, there have been a few letdowns here and there, and most would agree that the biggest and most notable disappointment so far is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They could have made an absolutely amazing game that millions of people would have purchased day one if they simply continued the Arkhamverse in a way that felt respectful and like they had a shred of care in the world. This could have been a massive hit, but that's not what happened. They decided to hire Sweet Baby Inc. for narrative consultation purposes, and they had them help write characters and do sensitivity reading. Of course, they decided to stray away from Batman and go in the direction of killing the Justice League, which could have been an okay story if they actually made the Suicide Squad like a genuinely evil group of people, but instead they were just really goofy and it didn't come across well. And then you had the just mediocre gameplay and the world, and nothing with this game really stuck the landing, and instead of getting a really good game, we got a really, really terrible one filled with the message. But of course, Suicide Squad fans were already disappointed with this game since before it even released. People were saying they should have scrapped it, they should have canceled it, and we didn't even think they would get this far with DLC releases. We didn't even think they would launch the Joker update, never mind continue. But now that they are really starting to tease episode 2 and talk about how it's going to be even bigger and better than some people imagined, nobody really cares about this game anymore. At least the very few that actually purchased it, because they shared a development update for the game that detailed all of the content that's coming as part of the first season's second episode. But sadly, there's not a lot to talk about, as episode 2 basically just introduces a new Two-Face themed firearm and some Green Lantern infused enemies, which could be cool if they actually tried to hype it up, but they didn't. It's worth noting that the new characters are only coming at the start of each season, so there's still going to be a bit of a wait until we get the next squad member, which is a massive fail, at least in my opinion. People are already sick and tired of this game, but that means that you have to try even harder to get people back, and you need to be pushing out as much content as quickly as possible, because if they were going to magically change this game around, that would be the way to do it. But of course, players were already pretty angry with the game, and now, after of course the slow rollout of content and the previous few updates not offering much at all, it seems like this really is the final nail in the coffin. Of course, there are tons of people expressing annoyance at how the promise of 6 weeks between updates has now increased to 8, which to me just sounds like they have less people working on the game. They're not even really sure if they want to have those people on the project, if they just kind of want to can everything all together. But as you can see on their latest Twitter/X post, people are annihilating them, and they really did not know how to respond to fan backlash months ago when this game launched. Never mind now. This is what happens when you try to sell people a woke game. Okay, woke doesn't sell. You had millions and millions of people who absolutely loved the Arkhamverse games. All of them were amazing, and instead you decided to set this joke of a game within that universe and expected people to line up and buy it and blindly support it, which did not happen, and people are trying their hardest to defend the Arkhamverse of the past, the Arkhamverse that people absolutely loved. People are saying things like this is an absolute joke. I'm sure the 24 people that are still playing are happy, which is not actually that far from the truth. As you can see over on the Steam charts, as of right now, there's a measly 103 people playing. And now, keep in mind that as single player games get older, the numbers do drop off, and typically they do peak when, of course, people are showing back up to play new DLC launches, like character launches, or there's new content being released, but that hasn't been happening. They have extended the amount of time between these updates, and I mean, even looking at the all-time peak, which was 4 months ago at launch, we're talking 13,459 people, which is just a joke of a number. I mean, even if you look at the other Arkhamverse games, 22,000, 20,000, 25,000. I mean, we're talking quite a lot of people, double this number in a lot of cases, and all of those Arkhamverse games had actually shot up in player numbers because people were so unhappy with KTJL. People are saying things like, yeah, I'm sure this booming community cares. Yeah, under 192 people playing. They're really making content for nobody at this point. But if they had just listened to us from the get-go and Rocksteady hadn't become an extremely woke shell of the company they once were, they could have actually made a half-decent game. Of course, another problem with this is that it's a live service and people do not like live service games, but even that is a minor issue when you look at all of the other issues that are stacked on top of it. I mean, it's problem after problem. People are sharing gifs. This came out of nowhere. How could this happen? Also, people saying terrible game. Yeah, there's no way that I would play this, and well, it seems like nobody really did, because they only just recently announced that KTJL was a massive financial flop for Warner Brothers. They said that it lost them over $200 million, which is not a good sign. So I don't even think they're going to really release any other characters. I think maybe we would get one more, but there's no way they're going to still follow that 5 to 6 character DLC launch plan they originally had. And I can't say that I'm all that surprised. This game was a nightmare from the beginning, but of course, as soon as we found out that Sweet Baby Inc. dug their claws into this game, we knew it was going to be a massive flop, and well, we were proven right yet again. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.